And we're live, Mayor Ostrander.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. by recognizing the traditional keepers of this land and specifically our neighbors of the Alderville First Nation with a formal territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the municipality of Brighton is located on the Mississauga Anishinaabe territory and is the traditional territory of the Mississauga. The Council of the Municipality of Brighton respectfully acknowledges that the Mississauga Nation are the collective stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. I will also advise that due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting will be held using electronic conference technology. Members of Council, municipal staff, and our delegations are all engaging in tonight's meeting through video conference. The public is invited to join us by viewing this meeting live on the Municipality of Brighton YouTube channel. I will also note that once we proceed into closed session, the live YouTube stream will end for the duration of tonight's council meeting. With that, we move to the approval of the agenda with a motion that will read that Council approve the May 3rd, 2021 council meeting agenda as presented. Is there a mover? Moved by Deputy Mayor Vink, seconded by Councillor Anderson. Any discussion? Members of Council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
That's carried.
Thank you. The members of Council, please declare any pecuniary interest you may have, and if you do, the general nature thereof. There are none noted. Are there any announcements this evening? Councillor Tadman?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted, I'm sure council knows that any of the public are listening, that farmers market opened on Sunday, not such great weather, a big downpour, but I just wanted to remind everyone that Quinte Access bus will be soon ramping up to do the complete circle from No Frills around through Gosport, around over right by the bay and back up and around. And so it's quite a convenience for people who no longer drive. So hopefully we'll promote that again this year.
Good idea. Thank you, Councillor Tadman. Are there any other announcements this evening? No? Move on to the adoption of the minutes. The first reads that Council adopt the April 19th, 2021 council meeting minutes as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Tadman, second, Councillor Rowley. Any discussion? Members of Council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
It's carried.
Thank you. And the next, that Council adopt the April 26, 2021 special council meeting minutes as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Bateman, second. Councillor Anderson. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
It's carried.
Thank you. We have no statutory public meeting this evening, which takes us into delegations. Council will hear one delegation this evening. It is noted that language, content, and conduct must remain respectful at all times. Council will be provided with an opportunity to ask questions of clarification from the delegation based on the information that they have presented. Council is reminded that this is not an opportunity to engage in debate with the delegate nor advance a public policy position. And our delegation is Sarah Tanner with Northumberland County with regard to the Community Safety and Well-Being Plan. And I know you're on the screen somewhere, Sarah. There you are.
Good evening. Good evening.
I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciate that. Good evening, Council. Thank you so much for giving me some time on your meeting today. I believe there's a presentation and I think somebody else is going to share that for me. Is that right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I can send it to Tom unless you can share your screen. They received it in their package. All council members.
Oh, I see. I see. I thought, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do that. Let me see. I do apologize. I thought the communication was for you to be able to do that.
Sorry. Let me see if I can.
Hold on, I'm nearly there. I would just appreciate it if somebody can tell me, though, that it is actually working, because I believe last time I came to you, nothing moved. So are you able to see my screen now?
We're getting there.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the first slide you can see clearly?
Yes, it is.
Okay, then I'll start. Thank you very much. I apologize again for that. I misunderstood. So I did come to talk to you back in February, you may remember, about community safety and well-being for Northumberland. And I wanted to take this opportunity just to give you a brief update to let you know how far we've got. I know there was some interest in certainly in terms of how we were going to find our priorities and what that meant for Brighton, what that meant for Northumberland as a whole. So I just want to give everybody an update while we're here. Now, this is actually a PDF document, so I'm just going to move it down to the next slide. So our advisory committee, as you'll remember, is a multi-sectorial membership committee. We have representatives from health, so we have mental health and primary care. We have public health. We have paramedicine there. We have community representation through United Way and through the Salvation Army. We have children and youth. We have community and social services. And then, of course, we have fire services and police. So it's very sectorial in nature, so that we're able to ensure that everybody's experience, everybody's knowledge, everybody's resources and energy can be shared so that we can move forward with this. And just a reminder again that this piece of work is based on a change to the Police Services Act, which came under the Safer Ontario Act, but the very specifics for our plan come under the Police Services Act. So we are actually required to do this, and you'll remember as well, I hope, that the municipalities actually came together at county and decided that if the county could take on that coordination, that would enable all the municipalities to really start to concentrate on some of the details. And in terms of implementation, so many of our residents work, play and live in different areas across the county. So it made sense for us to have a county-wide plan rather than 7 different plans. So again, just a little bit of a reminder here, the things that we're doing in Northumberland are based on this graph, this bullseye sort of chart that the province have given to us. And this is all about trying to reduce our incident response. So the whole idea of this legislation for us to have a plan is that we have to be able to demonstrate that the work we're doing is going to reduce that middle sort of circle, that incident response. So they'll be looking for evidence and metrics that shows that we've reduced the number of calls, the repeat calls, the wasted time calls to 911. And then when they want us to start doing a little bit more of risk intervention, I've just put an example there of what that means. So for example, for Northumberland, we have a situation table where service organisations come together and can talk about crisis intervention and make an immediate response. So if there is a family or an individual that's in a crisis situation, they can come together and determine what the best course of action is and what resources we have to enable that family or that individual to stay healthy and to stay safe. So they'd like us to do some more of that. And then the prevention arm, that's the things like transitional housing, where we give people short-term support to move them on to a safer place to become more independent, where they want us to look at things like diversion. How do we divert people away from services? What is it we can do to enable people's lives to become more stable so that they're not looking at services? And then they'd like us to look at the investment in what they're calling social development. So that's where we do our childcare and our family centres. That's where we do swimming programmes, safe driving programmes, where we do some education, where we look at food security. And I've put Northumberland Eats here as an example. Hopefully you've all heard of Northumberland Eats, but that's an example of where we're trying to engage people in a range of different ways. So if I move down. It's really important that I'm able to show you that we have taken this from, we've taken the evidence and data we require to be able to do this plan from a lot of different places. It wasn't just a group of people, that group that I've told you about, sitting around a table saying, okay, you know, what are our priorities? We looked at local data. So from places like yourselves, like Brighton, we looked at your strategic plan. We looked at education, we looked at health, we looked at a regional level and a local level. So whether it was through the hospital or through the LIN, we looked at provincial level data, we looked at crime statistics, we looked at evidence from a range of, even at a sort of national level, you know, some of the poverty data, some of the income data, employment data. We also asked local people, so we had the consultation with local people, and we went through everything, and people told us about things like safer beaches and more access to libraries. It was a really comprehensive look at what makes people feel well in their community, what makes them feel engaged, and how do they feel safe. We asked local agencies, so we did a local agency questionnaire where agencies who work with members of the community, so human service providers, I might call them, social services providers, community agencies, about the sort of things that they think were priority. What were they seeing? What were the trends? What was making a difference? And we also looked at, I've just mentioned, we looked at your strategic plan. I think we looked at about 20 different strategic plans across Northumberland, so at a municipal level, police level, education, hospital. And we've tried to pull out from there, okay, what is it you're saying is a priority? What is it you want to achieve in the next 4, 5, 10 years? And we also looked at our networks. So who is it that's meeting together to determine the sort of actions that you want to do? You know, where are the committees? And we had a look at that. We put all of that information together and we sort of determined from that, okay, where are the trends and where is it that we have some synergy? Where is it that people are saying the same thing? And it will be no surprise to you, but for Northumberland, this was the 4 priorities. And it's interesting because, as I mentioned, you know, people certainly talked about things like wanting cycle paths or, you know, all sorts of interesting things. But actually, when we boiled it down and looked at the priorities, both the community residents and the community agencies identified these 4 areas as a priority for Northumberland. There was absolutely no difference. They both agreed that these 4 were most important. When we looked at the local, regional, provincial and national data, it also showed just these were priorities. Doesn't mean there weren't other priorities. This is just the top 4, and these are the 4 that we're going to be concentrating on for our first ever community safety and wellbeing plan. These are not in any order of importance. The 4 of them were all important. So this is for Northumberland. We'll be looking at mental health. We'll be looking at poverty, income and employment. We sort of put those together because they were so very similar. We're going to be looking at substance use and addiction issues, and we'll be looking at homelessness and affordable housing. So that's our priority areas for Northumberland. Now, this looks like a really busy slide. Well, it is a really busy slide, but I'll talk you through it really quickly, just to help us all be on the same page. You know, we're doing this because it is a directive. If we look at that blue column there on the left-hand side, Why are we doing it? It's a directive. We don't really have a choice. This is what the province have told us what we're going to do. So in terms of how we're going to coordinate and report this, it's really important that the province get the information that they require, and we'll be able to comply with their reporting. And so that's going to be through Northumberland County with the support of member municipalities and the police services who are also mentioned in the Act. So who is it that's actually creating the plan? Who is it that's going to bring that plan together? Well, currently we call ourselves the Community Safety and Wellbeing Advisory Committee. I've just shared with you the members, and that's who's pulling this plan together. So, okay, then what are the next sort of supportive actions we need to do to make this a reality? Well, our advisory committee will change into a collaborative. After the plan has been submitted to the province and has been approved, that committee will sort of dissolve a little bit and have the new governance around being a collaborative. And we've identified through all of the consultation that I just told you about that actually the things that people want us to do, both the agencies and the community, is they want us to collaborate. They want more collaboration. They want us to be able to share our knowledge, and they want us to improve access to services. And improving access is not only about when the door is open, it might be where the door, it might be what's on the other side of the door. So people want us to look at those things as well. To our community priorities, I've just told you all that we're going to be looking at for Northumberland. And then I think the bit that makes this a little bit more useful, I guess, and for me it makes it really valuable, is that in Northumberland we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're not going to create new committees to do this work. We recognise that there are lots of people out in our community already doing this work. This isn't all of them by any means. This is just an example of some of the networks and committees that we already work with or that we discovered on this journey that are already interested in those 4 priorities. So we're going to work with them. We're going to work with them so that we can start to do the collaboration, the knowledge sharing, and improving access. So we're going to, as the collaborative, coordinate some of the work that happens in these networks across Northumberland. You'll see 2 green arrows on the right-hand side. It's really important that we're able to collect some data that goes right through this process. There's data that we'll share with everybody, and there's data that we would like to be shared with us. And then there's the sort of support. What support can we give agencies, community groups, networks, and organisations to be able to continue with their valuable work? And some of that, hopefully, we'll be able to coordinate through this particular forum of the collaborative. I have a few slides on this. I am going to go through them quickly, but I do want you to be able to see that what we've actually done is for each of those priorities, we have set a set of goals. Those goals are those like high-level ambitious statements. These are the goals that we have for our residents across Northumberland. These are the things that we want to able to achieve. That's what we want community safety and wellbeing to be able to achieve. We then, when we've looked at those goals, we then have set some objectives. They're a little bit more things that we can measure. And as I say, this is just examples of some of the things that are in the plan. There is more than this. So we've got our high-level goal. We then break that down into achievable objectives that can be measured. We break that down further into actual steps, actual things that can be done, and we say when they're going to be done. And then we look at, okay, how do we know when we've been successful? What are those measures of success? And we do this for each of the priorities that we looked at. So homelessness and housing, mental health, employment and income, and substance use. So we look at the goals. We then break that down into, sorry, I jumped on then. We break that down into our objectives. We break the objectives down into the actual activities, and then we've already determined how we can measure whether that's going to be successful, whether we've made an impact, whether it's made a difference in anybody's life, whether we've improved people's feeling of safety, people's feeling of well-being. And we do this across those 4 priorities. All of these goals are based on the evidence and the metrics that we've already collected, so that we can determine that they are actually things that will make a difference in people's lives. I'm near the end now. I know I've only got a minute left. So just to let you know where we're at right now, We're sort of at that first yellow part of the puzzle there, where we're looking at getting our county to approve the plan so that we can submit it to the province. That date is the 1st of July, it has to be submitted to. So the actual final plan goes to county in June. We're currently looking at, okay, then we've got to start to align all the good work we're doing, and then we have to document and evaluate. So as we move from that sort of submission phase, we absolutely know we've got to look at our accountability. We know we've got to increase our collaboration and knowledge sharing. That sounds like such a big job, doesn't it? And I guess if it's my job, I think it is a big job. However, we're already showing that we're good at that. We recently did some Bridges Out of Poverty training. We had 74 organisations represented from across the county. We shared our resource, we shared that opportunity to share our knowledge and our opportunity to continue to improve. We know that we're going to look at our leadership table to become the collaborative, and we know that we have to improve our accessibility. This is my last slide. As we do all of that, we have to demonstrate that we can document and evaluate the work that we've done. And we've already developed, or are developing, I'll say it's 90% complete, a tool so that all of the groups that we work with can start to track their outcomes, track their impact. And then we as a collaborative will pull all of that together to be able to show that collectively and collaboratively, we've actually started to improve the residents' community safety and well-being across the whole county. Exactly 10.
Well done.
Thank you.
I'm going to just end the sharing of your screen there.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for that presentation, the update on the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. I'll open the floor to members of council for any questions of clarification that they may have. Council? Councilor Rowley?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you again, Ms. Tanner. My question has to do with, and I think it's a concern of most of council regarding affordable housing. On one of your slides, there's you showed an icon, Northumberland Affordable Housing Committee. Is there representation on that committee from all 7 member municipalities, or is that a different? Does it include other people?
It does include other people. It's a community committee. It's a committee that are working across all sectors to raise awareness, improve resources, improve understanding. Some of the work that they're working on is things like Yes in My Backyard, working on engaging with landlords, working on ensuring that we have coordinated access. So that's a community committee, the Northumberland Affordable Housing Committee. I know that there are other groups working on affordable housing now. Our housing manager works really hard to ensure all the municipalities are represented. She has regular contact, and I believe your own planner is part of the committee that she's got looking at affordable housing right now in council.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Tadman. You're muted, Mary. Mary, you're still on mute. There you go.
Now?
Yep.
I brought this up then, I'll repeat the first part at another county meeting. And the one thing that concerns me going from Brighton West, there's no transit. And especially for those who have accessibility issues, it's a great program that's run out, as I'm sure you're aware, from Queenie Access. And I'm wondering at what point is that that committee that was set up a few years ago is going to get back on track, because so often the 4 values there that you said are the most important that you're working on now, they're all connected in one way or another, because if people can't get to work, then they're stuck in that poverty situation. And also I'm sure there's people that are keen to work, but they need the skills that aren't necessarily available as something like the program that's set up for Elevate Plus, and people go to Loyalist College to learn the skills to take on employment. So I'm wondering if you're working in that particular area.
Thank you so much for the question. Absolutely. So in terms of the employment and training, it was very much identified that we have to consider training in all areas of the county, but also that it affects different age groups and different times in your life. So it's not only just about school, it's about having other schemes, having accessible schemes, and being able to share those resources. So yes, that is identified in the plan. And I wonder if you're talking about the community care transport group. Is that the group that you're talking about that was set up a couple of years ago? I'm not quite sure which group you're saying, but if that is the group, I have actually recently spoken with community care. And I know at the moment they're really, really busy with the COVID work. I know that right now it's very limiting for them, but it's certainly something on the agenda for us to get back together in the near future. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from members of council? Thank you very much, Sarah. Again, we appreciate the update. And with that, the motion I have reads that council receive the presentation from Sarah Tanner, Northumberland County, Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Update. Is there a mover? Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Bateman. Are there any further questions or comments? Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes,
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes,
It's carried.
thank you. That takes us to citizens' comment. Madam Clerk, are you aware of anyone who has a comment or wishes to come on to make a comment with regard to tonight's section?
I'm not sure that if George Hamilton wanted to make citizens' comments or not.
Not
Guess not.
seeing that. Okay, I'm
Okay.
going to assume that silence means no. With that. And sorry, Ms. Tanner, if you're welcome to stay. If you've got nothing else to do, by all means, hang around. Otherwise, you're also welcome to leave. We thank you again for your delegation.
Thank you. I'm going to say good night then. Thank you for your time.
Take care.
Thank you.
That takes us into staff reports. The first report is a request for promotional advertising. Ms. Whitfield, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
No, I do not.
Thank you. The motion before me reads that council receive the staff report regarding promotional advertising and that council receives or supports, so I'll need to know which the mover would like to do. The request for promotional advertising from Courageous Companions for a business card-sized ad in the amount of $295 plus taxes. Is there a mover? Moved by Councillor LeBlanc. And Councillor LeBlanc, could you please unmute yourself and let me know what you'd like to do?
I would like to approve it.
Do you want to support it, Doug?
Yes.
Yep.
To support it, yes. Sorry.
And a seconder for that? Councillor Rowley? I'll open the floor for discussion. There being none, Madam Clerk, I'll ask you to call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
yes,
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes,
Carried.
thank you. Our next report is with regard to COVID-19 expenses in 2020. Ms. Whitfield, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
No, I do not.
Thank you. And the motion before me reads that council receives the COVID-19 expenses in 2020 report as information. Is there a move? Mayor Vink, seconded by Councilor Rowley. Any discussion? Councilor Rowley?
Thank you, Mayor. Linda, I do have a couple of questions. I guess one of my questions is more about revenues lost. I certainly understand Parks and Recs that we haven't been able to rent the arena or do anything with skating over the last year or so. You have written in your explanation here that there was a slowdown in construction. When I compare 2019 and 2020, there seemed to be minimal as far as applications and revenue generated. It seemed to be pretty small. So I find that 157,000 just to revenues lost seems like a fair bit. Is there another way that you can break that down that we could have a better explanation?
Certainly I could. Oh, sorry, through you, Mayor. Certainly I could. Most of what I did do was take the revenues that were actually received and bump them back up to the budgeted revenues. So that was the difference, but I can send you a table that shows which ones were bumped up and why.
Okay, thank you. May I ask another question?
You may. You'll send that to all members of council, Director?
I'll wait then.
Sorry, Linda, you'll send that to all members of council?
I will by email, yes.
Thank you. You have a follow-up question, Councilor Rowley?
Well, it's a question on a different line item. So if you want to give someone else.
I'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Tadman.
The 65,878, Linda, with wages, was that overtime because everybody got salary, correct?
It was not necessarily overtime. Oh, sorry, through you, Mayor Ostrander. It wasn't necessarily overtime. It was some wages, some had to bring in extra people for extra hours for cleaning. So it may have been at regular time. There was quite a few wages that were attributed to people staying at home at the beginning of the pandemic back in March of 2020, as you can recall. For the most part, people worked from home and that was fine. But I don't think the wage line has changed much since we reported this back at third quarter.
Thank you. Councilor Bateman.
Really kind of a follow-up to Councilor Rowley's. I'd be interested in seeing the breakdown on the 157,000, because is that just for Parks and Rec or is that other departments grouped in there as well?
It was through you, Mayor Ostrander. It was for Parks and Rec for lost revenues in the arena and the community center, and parks, of course, because we didn't have fields open last summer either. And it was also for our planning department lost revenues and our building department lost revenues.
Okay, so multiple departments. The only reason I asked is because this is for 2020, is my understanding. And when the pandemic was declared, I think roughly March 10th, primarily the season for 2020 would have been over inside the arena. The only thing that happened after that is the old timers tournament, either on the weekend or the 15th or the 17th. Then you would have lost a couple weeks when we delayed the start of minor sports. So the bulk of that, I'm assuming, is coming from a lot of the other departments in the fields.
Could possibly be, but I think that we have to remember. Yes, the arena season was over in March, but we also had the fall arena season, and so we had a little bit of shutdown. Maybe it was later in December, as well as the revenues. I forgot to say the revenues lost also with the YMCA that was approved through council.
But you're going to provide a breakdown of that.
I will provide a breakdown of all of that.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Vink.
Thank you. I know we're going to get a breakdown. I'm just curious again. So we have lost revenues. How do we know that these lost revenues are due to COVID? I don't get how a construction slowdown. I don't think we had a construction slowdown. Maybe we did as far as permits and that sort of thing. I'm just wondering how we have attributed this to COVID in order to use these funds. There were other things that council wanted to use. We were told we couldn't. And I just wanted to get an idea of what it is, what the parameters are for this, and how do you decide that something was attributed to COVID that we can use these funds?
Director Whitfield?
I'm not quite sure what council wanted to use the funds for that we couldn't. If there was something that we could use the funds for, obviously we want to use those funds rather than return them to the province. This 326.6 was the original amount, original grant received from the government. The province has also allocated two different funds again in 2021. We didn't receive them yet. We received the one amount, and I think one was around 68,000 and another one around 95,000. I don't have those exact numbers, so don't quote me on that. But those monies plus the 17,000 are still available for use in 2021. The idea of receiving this fund was to assist municipalities in their lost revenue and in the costs that were associated with COVID for, for retrofits and PPE and all of the things that we've applied it to. So I'm fairly confident that this is what the funds were meant to be used for. And I'll just give you a breakdown further on the revenues lost.
Thank you for that. I'll circle back to Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Tadman asked my one question regarding the wages. I'm guessing that the water department wages would be the same, Linda, as far as you said, there's probably extenuating circumstances. It as Councillor Tadman said as well, I just find staff were getting paid regardless, home or at work. It just seems that those would have been just calculated in their annual paycheck, regardless of having to add any extra money. I see that the cleaning and the PPE, 28,000. That's fairly significant, and I'm glad that we've spent that kind of money. My concern is that we put dollars everywhere else, and we only have 17,000 left to put in a reserve. If these dollars, and I know you just said, because that was my other question too, that we did get another intake, I believe, from the province. $17,000 or more PPE and whatever it is we need over another year or so, if we're still this way at the end of the year, is not going to be enough. So I'm wondering if, after we see the revised numbers from you, if there's a balance, if we could just add that to the reserve too, because I think, maybe we need to add to kind of ramp up the amount used for cleaning and the PPE.
Not really a question there, just a comment. So I'm going to go over to Councillor Tadman.
Thank you, Mayor. Linda, back to the wages again. You have 65,878 wages, and then water department wages. Why are they separated out?
So as through you, Mayor Ostrander, as you are aware, the water department is a separate entity. So they have their own balancing budgets. So
right.
We actually transferred a portion of that grant, that 15,537. We transferred that grant portion to water as well. So I separated it here because it's separated in the general ledger.
Thank you for that.
Okay, because that's a user fee, is that why?
That's correct.
Councillor Anderson.
Okay. It just seems strange, I wasn't thinking, I guess, that they weren't included with the rest of the wages, but now I understand why.
Okay, Ron, you're up.
Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Rowley, you mentioned that 17,000 won't go very far in 2021. I believe, Linda, you said that we received approximately 150,000 so far this year, of which we probably haven't accounted for or had to dip into. I'm sure there will be a need, but So Councillor Raleigh, I think the 17,000, we may end up having to return it, or I don't know if you can carry it forward. We'll see the mood of the government when it comes time to see if we have to write a check or not. Right,
May I-
Linda? All right.
May I explain what I said?
Sure.
I guess, Councillor Anderson, what my comment was had to do with more if we have 17,000, we need to put monies and maybe extra away for some more cleaning and PPE. And if it took 28,000 for the year of 2020, I don't think 17,000 will be enough for 2021. So if we adjust some of the other numbers, we can kind of maybe top up the reserve regardless of what we got from the province to make sure that we have enough if we need more cleaning and PPE to get us through the rest of this year.
Mayor?
Yep.
I think there's confusion between two councillors here. On Linda, could Linda please confirm what happens with the 17,000 and the fact that we have received about 150,000 for 2021? Where are those monies going to go?
Director?
Through you, Mayor Ostrander, the reserve or the transfer to reserve of 17,511.67 is actually what the province has asked us to do. So we're transferring that money to reserve at year end to be used in 2021, along with the additional revenues that we're receiving for COVID in 2021.
So
the province is
I don't
asking
see
us to
the
hold those monies in advance in case we need them, particularly for COVID-19 issues, whatever those issues might be. Now, when all is said and done, we have to report all of these monies to the province, and they could very well say, okay, you've got X number of dollars left over in reserve, write us a check. We want that money back. We don't know that that's going to happen one way or the other. For now, it's our money to use for COVID-19 resources, whatever those resources, wherever that resource allocation may be. So we just have to understand that this report is provided to us because we're required to report it to the province, and of course, from an accountability point of view, staff are required to report it to council. Councillor LeBlanc, you had a
Through you, Mayor, for the Director of Finance. Do we, I got the one answer. We're going to put these into general reserves. Have you thought about setting up a COVID reserve? Because if you get the rest of the money, it totals roughly about 163,000 plus this 17. So you know that you got X amount of dollars, let's say 180,000, if it all comes in.
Dr. Whitfield?
Through you, Mayor. Yes, I've requested in my next report, my transfers to reserve report, that we actually set up that reserve for the COVID money. So it's kept separate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bateman.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually think my question was answered by yourself. I was going to ask if the province was requiring accountability where the money was spent. And I was also going to comment that I do agree with Councillor Rowley that, I don't think it's the 17,000. I like to be optimistic and think COVID's going away, but it's not going to be going away in the terms of that we're going to be giving any money back. There's going to be sanitizing, cleaning, and PPEs required for quite some time. And once we open up after the stay at home is lifted, it's going to require more cleaning because we're not cleaning stuff right now that people aren't going into. So I do think we're going to need more.
Thank you.
Unfortunately.
I agree. Thank you. Anyone else before? Go ahead, Councillor Rowley.
I just have one more question.
Sure.
We have wages in general from several departments, water department wages. Was there nothing in wastewater? I'm sure they would have had some changes as well.
Through you, Mayor Ostrander, there was nothing reported through COVID for wastewater.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Link,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
That's carried.
Thank you. And our next report is the 2020 Reserve Balances Report. And Director Whitfield, we've read this report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
No, I do not.
Thank you. The motion before me reads that Council receives and approves the 2020 Reserve Balances Report, and that Council receives the 2020 Development Charges Reserve Report, and authorizes the Treasurer to provide a copy of the financial report to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing as required by the legislation. And the Council authorizes staff to establish the COVID Reserve, and further that Council authorize staff to eliminate the Water Reserve, the Winterfest Reserve, and the Dog Park Reserve. Is there a mover? Deputy Mayor Vink. Is there a seconder? Councillor Tadman. I'll open the floor for discussion. Councillor Bateman.
Just a question for clarification. It says eliminate the dog park reserve. And at the last meeting, we allocated money to do some stuff down there, just so I can understand why we're eliminating that.
Director Whitfield.
At the end of the year, we had spent the balance of that reserve. So there is no money left in the reserve. It's up to council though. If council would like to keep the reserve for the future, then we could do that.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Where would we generate funds to put into the reserve? Where did they come from originally?
Through you, Mayor, there were some donations for the dog park when the one dog park was closing and people were anxious to get another dog park up and running.
Councillor LeBlanc.
For you, your Mayor, there was also some fundraisers at Polywog, and somehow the money didn't get put in. I was talking to him this weekend, and he's going to be putting it in for reserves. They're looking at doing fundraisers through the summer to keep it going. And when you look at reserves, we used to have the trail reserve. We used to keep going, and we're putting it back into the task force for the trail reserve to see if we can do it for the waterfront. So if you have a reserve for an operation that we're actually doing or the citizens are using, I can't see the use of getting it. Somebody wants to donate money and stuff, at least you got it open. It's still there. It's not something you got to come back in front of council and create. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tadman.
I was going to say I agreed with Linda that we remove it, but if they're actively raising money, what do you think, Linda? Should we keep it then? And what happened to that agreement that they were going to sell dog tags? That never happened, did it?
Yeah, that agreement changed. Director, could you chime in on that one, please?
Yes, thank you. We did have an agreement a number of years ago with the Boldra group to go door to door and sell dog tags, and that they would get a percentage of the revenue that they collected. Then they came back to council and asked for a percentage of all the revenue collected, and council agreed to that. And then they never went door to door and sold dog tags again. So that agreement just didn't work out for the municipality at all. As far as donations coming in right now, you asked the question about what will we do? Where would they go? The municipality is always grateful to receive donations for our projects, and we issue tax receipts. But I think your expenditures are far outweighing the budgeted amount even for the dog park at this point. And perhaps those donations go directly against that project, or council could decide that those donations could go against or go back into the reserve for the future. So if you want to keep the reserve, council, please keep the reserve. And we were just looking at a way to clean it up because there's so many there now.
Thank you for that. Councillor Anderson.
if that reserve money is donated money generally, we do have a lot of expenses, and but I agree that it's probably been costing us more than what we received. But if they're fully intended for improvements or something different for the park, I would like to see them kept in the reserve, earmarked as donations, whatever way you can identify them. And because there will be a future expansion, or not expansion, but improvements or something down the road. And it certainly wouldn't hurt. And we're not talking a lot of funds at the moment. So it might be a good start to have a small. And if it's more donations are coming in, like we heard tonight, there's more donations going to be coming, and then we have a place to put it. So I'd like to see it, maybe that one particular item be left where it is.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Reserves are only used if the funds are not used up during the year. I don't know that. I mean, do we not have a policy on that? Donations would automatically go into a reserve? That's unusual. Usually reserves are for the leftovers. If the income minus the expenses and there's some money left over, we put it in a reserve. That's usually what we use them for. Is that correct, Linda? Director Whitfield, sorry.
Yes, through you, Mayor. We would only be able to put money into the dog park reserve with a report to council and council's authorization to do so. So every time we receive a donation, if the intent is to put it in the reserve, we still have to bring it back to council through a report. Anything that goes into a reserve or out of a reserve needs a resolution.
Thank you for that. So Deputy Mayor, we've heard a lot of discussion. This is your motion. Do you want to leave it as is, or is there an appetite to make a change? You're muted, Lois.
I'd like to leave it as is.
Very well. Councillor Tadman, you're comfortable with that as the seconder?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Councillor Rowley, you have your hand up.
I do have one more question. Linda, I see that there is a BHSC reserve, which has nothing in it, but you're leaving that one in. Could you explain why, please?
Director Whitfield?
Yes, through you, Mayor. That was set up actually to be the surplus that might happen in that building after the loans are paid, so that the surplus could be transferred there. That was the only reason I left it there, is because, there could be a surplus in a future year. But if you would like, council could actually remove that reserve, and we could come back in a future year and ask for that reserve again.
Thanks for the explanation.
Thank you. Anything further? So I'll ask again, we heard about another reserve with no money in it. Deputy Mayor Vink, this is your motion. Do you want to add the BHSC reserve to the line of eliminating reserves, or just leave it alone?
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Very well. The motion is we're going to vote on the motion as it stands. Is there any further discussion? Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
Carried.
Thank you. This takes us to the Coles Timber Mart sign variance. Mr. McGee, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
Not at this time.
Thank you. And the motion before me reads that council receives a staff report dated May 3rd, 2021, being a sign variance to permit the use of an off-lot sign, and further that the council grants approval for the sign variance as requested by Coles Timber Mart, 47 Ontario Street, to permit an off-lot sign to advertise the location of the business. Is there a mover? Deputy Mayor Vink. Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. On the floor for discussion. Deputy Mayor Vink.
I'd actually like to change the motion after I've moved it, but I've received a lot of concern, and I think we probably all have, that the sign is too big. I believe the owners of Coles know that the sign is too big, and I'd like to suggest that we ask for it to be made smaller.
So I guess I'd say it's pretty clear they know it's too big because they're asking for a variance from the bylaw.
Yeah, but yes. Well, I get that.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Thank you.
Councillor Bateman, you have a comment.
Just to follow up, I spoke to the director of planning today, and I didn't know, Mr. Walsh, were you able to find an answer? My question was, not all roads are municipal, and I wanted clarification if that portion of the road was county approval needed, similar to what we needed county approval for County Road 64 to put the bark and sign up for the dog park. So if you can clarify, because I don't want to say yes or no to anything if there still has to be another level of approval that they might be saying the opposite. If you can clarify for us.
I think we're going to find out that Main Street is in Brighton's authority, but go ahead, Director Walsh.
Through the Mayor to Council, I made a brief inquiry with Al McGee, the enforcement officer, who also administers our sign bylaw, who is most familiar with that bylaw. There has been some coordination with the county. I might, if I may, Your Worship, defer to our bylaw enforcement officer, Al McGee, to have a more fulsome response to that question.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. McGee?
Through Your Worship, that is a municipal road. The county road wouldn't start until Cheers Farm on Main Street, County Road 2.
Thank you for that. Councillor Tadman.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand that Mitch Hamilton, owner, whatever his title is at this point, is here. Would you please allow him to speak? Because I definitely have spoken to his father, and I think they're wanting to present a compromise before we, even vote. Can we hear from them, please?
I would permit it if it's okay with council, and just a simple nod of heads if you're okay with it. Getting the approval. Before I do that though, Councillor Bateman, you have your hand up. Would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify my question because I wasn't 100% sure where the Main Street, and that's good to hear from Mr. Walsh. I wasn't sure exactly where the county and the municipality's road intersected. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hamilton, welcome to Brighton Council virtually. Mr. Hamilton's, sorry, I didn't see George there.
Hello there. Well, thank you very much for hearing us out. And again, I apologize we've had to bring it to council. I guess we misunderstood what we were allowed or not allowed to do. So anyway, originally the variance was for the distance across Maplewood. And then we find out later the sign was a little bit large, I think by 4 square feet. So by all means, we would definitely change the size of the sign to comply with the bylaw for sure. So that's not an issue. We would be more than willing to make the sign smaller. So it's just a question of the variance from the distance to the Maplewood property across on the east side. I guess that's the closest property line. So yeah, no, we would definitely change the sign.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Do you have anything else you want to add before I move around to council? No? Okay. So members of council, we've heard from the Hamiltons. Is there any further discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. And some of my comments are because I represent the DBIA. There are some concerns about the size of the sign that is within the catchment area of the DBIA. Also, I believe that Mr. McGee has it down here that the house that the sign is attached to is residential. Actually, it's residential with a commercial industrial use building under the MPAC definition. There are already 2 large signs to do with the barbecue place in the front. So adding the 3rd sign is also kind of a contravention as well. I don't think there's allowed to be 3 signs. I'm sorry, George and Mitch, but as I say, I'm bringing concerns of the DBIA. There have been other concerns brought up regarding the number of signs on buildings within the downtown and the size of them. There's also concern that if we allow this to happen, how many more empty walls that we will see downtown in Brighton with large 96 square foot signs on them.
Anyone for, thank you, Councillor Rowley. Councillor Anderson.
I just wonder if there's any objection from the neighbors. And in particular, there's one that's that close proximity right across the kitty corner to that property. Any objection that we've received on that? I know I've got lots of emails and I think we've all had some communication, but is there anything directly of any objection?
Madam Clerk, are you aware of any objections from anyone along the main street or local to Main Street at Maplewood?
No, I'm not aware of anybody.
Thank you. Councillor Bateman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask, because I certainly understand anybody having a concern, and the Hamiltons address the size of it, but I also understand the other side of it. And I'm not trying to play both sides, but just devil's advocate. And I mentioned it to the director as well today. Do we know how many other than this? Because we talk about, when you look at the bylaw, the number of signs you're allowed to have. There is some current businesses, I'm not going to name them, because I fully understand why businesses need to do this. It's a competitive market and an economic climate where you need to get your name out there. But there is several businesses now that, if you read the bylaw, that wouldn't be in compliance, depending on when they went up. I know of one that has 9 signs, so I'm not sure where that would fall in, if we have any rough idea, like, because we say we don't want to set a precedent, but I think it may have already been set depending on when they're going up.
Right, I'm not sure who to direct that question at, or if it was really more just a comment, perhaps, Councillor Bateman.
Well, it's kind of a comment and a question. Like, have we made this exception before? Because when you walk around or drive around, whatever your mode of transportation is, you can see the number of signs and the types of signs on various places. And I hold no ill will, because I understand why they need to do it. But I was just wondering if it has variances been granted before, or.
So the answer to that is yes. I can't speak to which specific business, but I know we have granted exceptions to the bylaw in the past.
Okay.
Just speaking to the precedent thing, every time it's brought up, I feel the need to say this. Councils don't set precedent. We all know that. We make decisions on a moment by moment, issue by issue basis, and we can grant an exception to one organization and not another. That is our right to do so, whether it be a decision with regard to bylaw or in planning, provided that we're not discriminating against someone based on one of their charter rights. So just I always feel the need to say that when it comes to precedent. We don't set precedent. We're not learned judges. We're elected members of council. Councillor LeBlanc.
Yes, to me, it's when the Councillor Rowley said they're only allowed, the DBI said they're only allowed not more than 3 signs or only 2 signs. So what happens when somebody wants to advertise on Main Street and want to put signs in their windows, and they put them on all 3 windows? If we're going to use 96 square feet as a precedent, there's quite a few, our banks, quite a few of our business are larger than 96 square feet. And it's a business that's trying to promote themselves, so it shows them where to go. So they made the sign a little bit too big. They're willing to bring the sign back into compliance with the bylaw. I think the question now is the minor variance. Is that the only one that's left?
So there's a couple of issues here. One is the size of the sign. One is the fact that it's off lot. It's not on the property where the business occurs. So I think that's the other variance we're being asked to consider as well. But Mr. McGee, I'll get you to chime in on that.
But to you, Your Honor, what about the signs that are on that advertise businesses down into our industrial park off of Prince Edward Street? That's off lot also.
So those are municipal signs, Councillor LeBlanc. Those are municipal signs, and that's a directory of businesses in our industrial park. So that's not an advertising of signs. That's informational for information purposes offered by the municipality. Mr. McGee, can I just get you to offer the two explanations for these variances, please?
Yes, so in my report, oh, so sorry, through your worship, in my report, we're asking for a variance of two of the criteria for off-lot signs. The one being it needs 2.8 meters from a residential zone. I mean, if this wasn't, it's only a 40-foot road allowance on Maplewood. If this is a 66-foot road, we probably wouldn't be here today. And the second all the sign is 4 square feet, larger than the max of or allowed amount of 96 square feet. So we're asking for 4 square feet variance of the bylaw. Off-lot signs are popular, and most of them, I mean, that I know of, are through the bylaw allowed. We see up by the 401, you see Vanderlands, you see Presqu'île Beach Motel. If you go by Cheer Farms, you've always seen the No Frills being an off-lot sign. And I mean, we have to be careful. I mean, I'm applying off-lot signs as this is, and a wall sign. I mean, now we're getting into the bylaw. You have to look at what the sign is. You just can't apply all the different sections to the sign. So today we're applying the criteria for off-lot signs, which they're allowed 3. This would be their first on a building. Yes, it is. Well, it's mixed zoning on that property. But my record showed it was commercial because it allows the apartment complexes, and then also that fireplace or fire or barbecue place as well, which they have signs. So, I mean, we're getting confused with the limit of limit of sign on a building, and I mean, I think primarily is the sign the safety issue. I mean, it took me when I was pointing it to me. It took me 3 tries up and down Main Street to find it. I mean, it's not a sight line, which it would definitely not be permitted. So it's not like when you drive, it's causing any traffic issues. And there's been no complaints to staff in this sign. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. So, I mean, you guys have received complaints, but there was nothing. If I would have received a lot of complaints, I mean, with this, we might not even been here. We would have probably taken down the sign and moved forward, but staff has not received any complaints. So this, the reason behind this report, was, to allow this business to advertise off property.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Councillor Anderson, you had your hand up.
I'm not particularly happy with it being on a building like that. It's a pretty well a heritage type of a building in a zone that's in itself. The DBIA as well as others have been trying to make that neighborhood more of a less signs and more attractive buildings and improvements to buildings and that type of thing. I know the need and I understand exactly the purposes behind that sign. I would much rather see a sign out on the corner of Ontario Street, similar to what the economic development's working on for Loyalist Drive, showing other businesses and even where the park is, things like that, in more decorative type signage versus it's an excellent marketing piece, the sign that's there for Coles, and it's very effective. However, to me, it stands out in an area and right by a neighbor in a neighborhood that I'm just not comfortable with it as far as that. I would like to see us work with the Hamiltons to find a better spot for that type of signage. That meets one criteria heading west, but perhaps there's something that can be better done and be planned, and maybe we should be looking at this signage thing. I think Councillor Bateman made a couple of good points, as well as a couple of other councillors. Maybe all the signage is starting to get a little bit out of hand, and it's not out of hand. I mean, it's starting to grow businesses are being more aggressive. We're getting more businesses, which is fantastic. You know, there is growth perhaps in the business area, and there will be more signs, and there'll be a lot of signs perhaps. So maybe we should get a hand. I just not thrilled with where that sign went. So, and it not meeting the bylaw as it was, and we set the bylaws.
Thank you for that. Councillor Bateman?
Just to follow up, you answered my previous question. We have made exemptions before, but this follow up through you, Mayor, if Councillor LeBlanc can clarify, I think what he was making reference to, but I don't want to speak for him, but maybe he can, I think he was talking about the sandwich board signs, which is another section of the bylaw that are on the corner of that municipal property. I don't want to speak for you, Councillor LeBlanc. Is that what you were making reference to when you referenced signs?
Yes, and other signs that are there in the same building that has 9 signs on it. Everybody drives by it and sees it, but everybody has a right to advertise their business, and should be advertising their business, and we should help companies to advertise their business. A sign, it's a sign.
Yep.
Bring it to 98 square feet. It's in compliance, and they're willing to do that.
Councillor Tadman?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind everybody that the Hamiltons have agreed to a compromise with the sign, and also to remind everyone that this is 4th generation of people who have run Coles in the family and have been very responsible and have sponsored a great deal of different groups in this community. And I definitely would support this. I wouldn't have any more problems looking at a smaller sign than I do driving down Main Street and seeing a sign saying beer store here or bank here, whatever. I don't think it's ugly, and I will support it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So I just want to get a little clarity with the motion as it's written. We're agreeing to the minor variance for the location of the off-lot sign, but we were told that the size will change. Correct?
With the motion before us, I believe we're agreeing to variances for both the size and the location.
So if we can, I don't think we need to not approve this and start looking at our sign bylaw. Should we look at our sign bylaw? Yes, maybe that's what we need to do. But right now, this is what's before us, and I think we just need to make a decision on this tonight. And as long as we can get the size to change a little bit by those however 4 square feet or whatever that might be. Do we need to add that to this motion then, that's the change that we're going to?
I'm just going to look to Mr. McGee, because as I'm reading this motion again, obviously, variance to permit the use of an off-lot sign. So it's pretty vague. It's not specific as to what we're permitting a variance for. Other than, I guess, we have to read through the report, and that would circle back to what we're permitting the variance for. So, Mr. McGee, my assumption is that we're permitting the variance. If we were to pass this motion, council would be saying, leave it alone, it's fine. That sign where it is good. No effort needs to be made by anybody. Am I understanding that correctly?
No, that's correct.
Thank you. So if we want any change to be made, we need to make sure we encapsulate that in the language of the motion. Deputy Mayor, this is your motion. So go ahead.
So if I can just add to that, then that we can change the motion to say as written in the report, except for that the size would be brought down into compliance. Is that, does that work?
If I write and further, how do we write this? So we're granting approval for the sign variance as requested by Coles Timber Mart to permit an off-lot sign with the exception of the current size.
Yes.
And Councillor LeBlanc is the seconder. Are you okay if we add with the exception of the current size to the motion? Understanding that the Hamiltons have already addressed that concern and are willing to replace the sign with a smaller sign.
Yes, Mayor, I am agreement with that fully.
Mr. McGee, does that make sense to you? You're the one who has to carry out this proverbial direction.
Yes, that makes sense to me.
Thank you. Anything further on the motion now that we've added that? There is none noted. This discussion and the information, the opinions I've received over the course of the weekend lead me to believe, as the Deputy Mayor said, that it may be time to yet again review our sign bylaw. This will be, I don't know how many times, Mr. McGee, we've reviewed the sign bylaw, but with the passage of every few years and the increase of population in the community, I think increased concerns occur. So it may be time for us to review this. And there are lots of people have concerns with regard to sandwich boards and their placement and accessibility concerns with regard to those signs along the main street. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to maybe take a look at our sign bylaw without, of course, wanting to restrict a business from being able to advertise their business in the municipality. As Councillor LeBlanc said, it's always a balancing act. So to the clerk and the CAO, I would ask, do you need direction? Do you want to see a notice of motion at a future meeting? You're shaking your head, so you're telling me, Mr. Castleman, that through this discussion, you understand it's council's wish to review the sign bylaw.
Understand.
Thank you very much. So council will have to hold Mr. Castleman's feet to the fire and make sure that happens at some point in the near future. Bob likes it when I say that. Anything further on the motion? Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson?
No,
No.
no,
Councillor Mark Bateman?
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc?
Yes,
Councillor Emily Raleigh?
No.
Councillor Mary Tadman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink?
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander?
Yes.
And it's carried.
That takes us to the community center and arena membrane roof report. I'm sorry, Mitch and George, you're welcome to hang around for the meeting if you really have nothing to do this evening, or you can leave as you wish.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good night.
I don't know, no one ever wants to hang around.
Yeah.
Can you blame
What do you
them?
mean? Lou's here.
What's that?
Lou is here.
Lou.
He's enjoying it.
Lou's just following the bouncing ball till it's his turn. So this takes us to the community center and arena membrane roof report. Mr. Miller, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to highlight the fact that it is a big ticket item. I wanted to get it to council as soon as I could, and we'll have to look at this in the future.
Thank you. And the motion before me reads that council receives the staff report on the condition of the membrane roof and replacement costs at the King Edward Park Arena. King Edward Park Community Center Arena as information. Is there a mover? Moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Miller, how concerned are you with this? How long will it last? My concern is too that we use the community center in case of any emergencies in the area? Is this going to affect the health and safety of people who have to use this in case there is such an emergency?
Director Miller?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Right now, we're fine. We did get a section repaired, and it was the one that was leaking the most, like on the south side of the community center. I've been assured that we are fine right now, but we definitely have to look at this for the future because there are more areas than we first thought.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up.
Councillor Rowley?
I do have a follow-up. We were just speaking of reserves earlier. Do we have any dollars squirreled away for a rainy day for this big ticket item? Or is this something that we will be looking again at during next year's budget?
Miller?
Well, I'm looking at next year's budget, if you're asking when I'd be presenting it. In the meantime, we'll be looking for any and all funding chances that we have that, that get announced. If something fits for this, we'll definitely be looking to use reserves.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor LeBlanc?
For you, Mayor, a leaking roof never gets better. It always gets worse. My concern is there any wood or any type of other type of fiber that's there that mold could attach itself and end up with black mold? Has there been any indoor air quality testing by a consultant or an expert to make sure that there is no toxic black mold exhausting in there, like a Suno canister test or something sent to a lab?
No, there hasn't been any testing inside.
So really, we don't know if there's any type of a mold that's exhausting inside the building, because more than likely you got fiber in here. So you got fiber, oxygen, and water. You end up with mold. So it should be looked at. And this will not get better. It always gets worse. A leak always gets worse, and it should be repaired quicker. Thank you for your answer.
You'd think he was retired Navy the way he talked about me.
Air Force.
I know, I understand. Mr. Miller, any concerns with regard to mold growth?
Not at this time. I don't think there's a huge issue.
Staff will continue to monitor that, and as repairs are done, we'll make note that may be a requirement to take a look at.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
I think it was recently in the news about federal money for recreation improvement of recreation facilities. Councillor LeBlanc wants to speak on this.
No. I said you're right on.
You're right on. He's supporting your comment, Councillor.
Okay. Anyhow, and it sounded very promising, and there was something that we should dig into. It's fresh. It's fairly fresh, this announcement that came out a couple weeks ago. So if you could dig into that, it might you might have something there. I wouldn't. Maybe it could be shovel ready.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, it's so fresh that they don't have the applications out yet.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, we're definitely on it.
That was announced as part of the budget, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Councillor Tadman.
Thank you. Jim, could you tell me what year the community center was built? I think it's in your report, but I misplaced it. How old is the community center?
It's about 12 years old. 12 to 13 years old.
Yes. So a very relatively new building. I think whatever we can do, we need to do it quickly. I think Councillor LeBlanc is correct in saying a leaking roof just gets worse all the time. And I think that we should consider it this year, never mind waiting till budget, and then we wait for tenders, and then we wait to see if we can get funding. And when it's, what was it, a $2 million with, want it to downhill in 12 years or 13 years. I don't think, because the roof is besides the foundation, the roof's the most important part of the building.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. You have to remember too, and it's part of my report, the membrane roof is just a single layer roof. It was not the most expensive roof you could put on it. So, that's the thing. And that's why we're recommending a better roof be put on, something that's good for up to 30 years.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. So I'm hearing from council members who want to act right away, but the report says that is not to fix it, but it's to use $375,000 to replace it. Is this what council's wanting, is to do that right away, or are we looking for something else?
The staff recommendation is that we receive this as information so that we're not surprised. I think that the intent is that we're not surprised when we get a $375,000 price tag at budget time. That we don't turn to Mr. Miller and go, "What, are you crazy? You didn't tell us about this back in May? You knew about it?" So here he is telling us not to be surprised that you're going to see this come up for budget. And I assume, and I shouldn't, but I assume through this kind of report, Mr. Miller, that you're confident that we can get through another winter in that roof without any further significant compromise.
I've talked to experts, and they tell me that we should be good until next year.
There you go.
Without any major compromise.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
Anything further for Mr. Miller? Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
I'll say yes to receive the report, but I definitely think that we should look more into this and, have a big problem there in the roof. So yes to receive the report. That's what the is.
right. Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
It's carried.
Thank you very much. Now we move on to the council follow-up list. And the motion will read that council received the council follow-up list for information. Is there a mover? So Rowley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Vink. And I'll open the floor to questions from members of council. Councilor Bateman.
Thank you, Mayor. For the CAO, when I was reviewing the current list compared to the one that was last presented at April 6th, there's some items that didn't make it over to the new one. If you could just clarify why. Actually, number one on the list on April 6th was the motion that was put in regarding the health unit and the water samples. And on that update, you said it would be collaborative with the health unit. The moving date was the 16th, and the status was active, and now it's disappeared. And two others that aren't on there are for the Lomas Bridge and the Lomas Bridge speed limit didn't make it over to the new list.
Mr. Castleman.
That's my fault.
So I'm going to go off the top of my head here. My thought process is when we spoke about the Lomas Bridge, we got an update from CAO at the county, Jennifer Moore, during her budget deliberations. Council decided at that time to take that item off the list. The health unit item, my recollection is that it is on the list. Let me try and find it for you. I think it's, my recollection is it's number 7.
Okay, I might have overlooked it.
And the whole issue is with respect to reinstituting the sample drop-off of water. We've certainly been in contact with the library and the health unit to try and create a situation at 35 Alice Street down in the lobby in order to continue on with that service. So we've tried not to miss anything. We try to look at it very carefully and bring forward the outstanding list. We tried to listen very carefully to some of the comments from the last time from council to be a little bit more descriptive with respect to what's happening with the outstanding list. We've made some modifications in that regard. It's an ongoing target, and we do our best to try and keep it accurate and be as descriptive as possible.
Thank you, Councillor Bateman, for a follow-up.
For the Lomas speed limit, is that removed based on, I don't know if the CAO from the county had touched on the speed limit one on that one. I'm not sure, unless I overlooked it and it's further down on the list. The only other comment, is it possible, and it's not my decision to make, and I don't know if it's all the council to do it, when something's completed on the list, because it goes from active to disappearing, is it possible to have it on there and just mark it completed and put it in a different color so that it's easier to follow on the reasons that where they are and the status of them?
Madam Clerk?
The list would be quite long. It takes up a few pages. I can provide you a list separate, not on the agenda, but I can provide a list to you of completed items.
Would it be possible for the completed items just to appear on the next list update?
Sure.
And then disappear after that? I mean, we don't need we don't need 100 pages of items that staff have completed over time. But I think it would be good, to Councillor Bateman's point, to understand from the last time we saw the list what has been completed to now.
Okay.
Is that fair, Councillor Bateman?
Yeah, and not just for council. I think you know there's probably citizens that would probably are watching it and following along, and they'd like to see it as well, I think.
Understood. Councillor Tadman.
Thank you. The one thing that I don't see on here, and I'm positive it's not, and I know that there's a few people that have got in touch with me about the short-term rentals, and when is that bylaw? I thought it was promised for February, but it could be wrong. But it's certainly, the season is coming up for that, and once the province is back open, I think we're going to have quite an influx of people wanting to do these short-term rentals, and so I think we definitely need the bylaw stating what the wishes of the residents and council are. So when will we receive that? It's questions like that that I don't care if you got 6 pages, because there's some things that the residents ask often, and I don't know how to respond when they say, well, when's that bylaw coming? I don't know, because I haven't been told. And I don't want to look dumb or play like I'm coy when I really don't know, and I have no way of finding out.
Fair enough. I mean, you could reach out to the director. I'm sure he would let you know, but fair enough, because it should be on the list. Director Walsh, do you have a comment on when that will come forward?
Yes, Mayor. The original, or the last suggestion of when it might have been available was just to be March, and of course we're past that timeline now, and so there is really a delay there. But I continue to poke away at it and have a little bit more work to do on it, but I'm aiming for June, because I do realize that the summer season is looking at us, and we don't know whether there will be some alleviation with the suspension of COVID restrictions or not. But in preparing that there might be some loosening up on those rules, it would be nice to be ready and have something before council.
Thank you for that update. Anything further from members of council? Councillor LeBlanc.
I have 2, Mayor. I think the one is on the Lomas Bridge. So did I hear the CAO say that the Lomas Bridge is because of what the CAO said of the upper tier? But I thought that the Lomas Bridge was taken off, that we're not looking at it anymore.
Mr. Castleman.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Council was looking for an update with respect to the status of the Lomas Bridge. So the CAO from the county provided that status. And as such, council decided to take that item off the list. Obviously, there are ongoing discussions between staff at the county and Brighton with respect to a number of different roads. That happens to be one of them. And so in due course, staff will be bringing some recommendations with respect to rationalization of roads being either uploaded or downloaded from the county and from ourselves.
Next question, Councillor.
Through you, the second item on the list, basically for the stormwater management pond, I thought those documents would be readily available, so I figured it would come in the second quarter. But I see you have it there status on the fourth quarter.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's many priorities that we're dealing with, and they can't all be done at the same time. So we tried to spread them out based upon our assessment of what the priorities are. And we're trying to get to outstanding items as quickly as we can. Our focus is certainly on the old stuff and trying to bring it forward as quickly as we can.
Fair.
Thank you. Anything further from members of council? Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
It's carried.
Thank you. This takes us into notices of motions. And the first one is a motion which appeared as a notice on April 19th, and it's moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Vink. Whereas the municipality of Brighton is rapidly growing, and there has been a need demonstrated now and in the future for services for the Halliburton Fourth of Pine Ridge Health Unit, or HUB, directly located in the municipality of Brighton. And whereas the nearest office for in-person service in Northumberland County now is Port Hope to the west, and whereas the health unit office moved out of Brighton in June of 2016, and whereas it is council's desire to have the municipality of Brighton partner with the provincial government and the HKPR to again establish a health unit office or hub in Brighton, we request staff to set up a meeting with the board of directors of the HKPR to see if it's feasible to reestablish their services in Brighton and research the possibility of space or return to the municipality. And then there's a note at the bottom about where this ties into the strategic plan. So I'll open the floor for debate, and I'll note to the mover and seconder that we'll need to do a little rejigging on this motion just to keep it in order, but we will get there. So members of council, any comments or questions? Actually, first, Councillor Anderson, this is your motion. I'll let you speak to it.
There's not much more to add to this motion. I've had this feeling for a couple of years now, actually, and I've heard it a number of times from other councillors and from other residents as well. It seems that the need is even greater now. That there's the health board actually has so many items on that they service, so many things that they service to the community. We go to Trenton for a lot of, or Quinte West for our services. We also go all the way to Port Hope if you want to have some personal service on anything to do with what they deal with. The topic of the water sampling for wells and that type of thing came up, and it comes up all the time. We're coming into that season where, well, anytime you sell a house, in the rural area, test your water. So that's good. I hear about the library possibly putting a refrigerator in the lobby. I'm not excited about that. I think that might be a temporary solution. I think there are right now facilities available in Brighton on a rental basis that the health board could use. There's also other opportunities we can't discuss at the moment, but also the municipality has some property that they could very well use. And I'm just going to pick one out of the air for you. Perhaps even the Hilton Hall could be converted to an office for a health, because of its location, to service the northern part, the rural part, as well as Brighton, urban Brighton. I just use that as an example, but there probably is other facilities that we could share with them, or even make it easier for them. Why they left Brighton, I don't know. But I think it's time to bring them back with the future that we have of growth, and the future of the need of the residents to have those services that they provide, without lining up in Quinny West, because that office it's extremely busy and getting busier all the time. And I don't know what it's like in Port Hope, but I haven't been to Port Hope health office yet. But so that's my little spiel. And I think it's something we should investigate. And that's what this is asking for, is that we seriously talk to them about it, not just talk about water bottles.
Thank you for that. And just for your information, the reason they left, or the reason that was given for their departure, was budget cuts. They could no longer afford to maintain the existing location in Brighton at the level that they were. So their best decision through a vote of the board of directors was to give up the rental here in Brighton. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I second Councillor Anderson's motion because I just think it's worth having the conversation at this point. We can't compel them to do anything. I know that, and I don't think we need to be picking out locations yet, but I just think sometimes we need to do our due diligence and we need to ask the questions, and that's why I seconded it. I just like to see, we do have a growing community. We don't have another health unit in our local area unless we want to go into another jurisdiction, which is Quinny West. And I just think it's a good idea to not just become complacent and just say, oh, well, they left, they're never coming back. Let's ask the question. And that's why I seconded the motion.
Thank you for that. Councillor Bateman.
I was just gonna, if you can clarify, like there's already the motion there, and it is more than just water bottles, and that is one of their primary functions. I know they have others, and I know I take that seriously, and so do the residents. So it's not a matter of taking this serious now. And it's already on the update list that you're gonna have that conversation with the health unit. So can this not be part of a broader conversation with them? So we're gonna have two things on the update list and have two separate conversations?
I guess I would ask staff what the intent would be. I assume that what we would do is update the update list to read something like, create a hub or a space in the community for health unit services, not just the collection of water bottles. And it would become part and parcel of the current discussions, which I think we're in the process of creating a solution for. But this is a broader conversation, quite right. Mr. Castleman?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I agree. We can certainly update the to-do list to incorporate both items.
Councillor Bateman?
And just a follow-up. So, and as you pointed out, the health unit left for a reason. So if they don't want to go down that path of having a hub, as long as we're going to go down still continue. And that's why I think it's important not to lose the other one, because even if they don't want a hub here, I think we want to provide that service of water sample drop off if they don't want to go down the path of having a brick and mortar hub wherever it's located.
I think we're well on our way to establishing a corner for the fridge, but Mr. Castleman, can you chime in there?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, certainly I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to continue that service in the not too distant future through a partnership with the library, between the library board and the health unit.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Councillor Rowley?
Thank you. I'd just like to kind of comment on that too, as Councillor Chapman and I were at our last library board meeting, and yes, the library is quite receptive to look after the fridge and the water bottle once we're able to open again. So I think I think that that concern should be pretty well off the table soon.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
I think that's great. I don't think we should let the water bottle location distract us from what the whole purpose of this motion is, to go to the bigger route, go to what we, the full-fledged what we need is, it's not going to happen. It's even just the discussion won't happen overnight. And then there's the bricks and mortar and the move and whatever, if it ever came to fruition. I tell you right now, it'll come someday, and the need is now, meaning now is the time to start making the motion to have these things happen for our municipality, not sit back and wait. But we will need a location for the water bottles until that happens. So I think it's great that you've got a location figured out.
Thank you, Councillor Tadman.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any problem, as the Deputy Mayor said, just to bring it forward to have a discussion. But I just want to remind everybody that this space that the health unit left opened the opportunity for a really nice library. We lost rental income, which was really nice income, but the board of directors made that decision because they no longer could justify having a hub here in Brighton. So unless we can do some really fancy talking, I can't see in the near future that they'll come back, but it's worth a try to talk to them anyways. But I don't think we're going to find the place for them at this point, and certainly it won't be Hilton Hall.
Thank you for those comments. So I'm going to circle back to the wording of the motion, and we'll flip down to the fourth whereas statement. So your whereas line reads, and whereas it is council's desire, et cetera, which ends at the end of Brighton, period. And at that point, we should have therefore be it resolved, some direction. So the next line reads, we request staff to set up a meeting. So first of all, council doesn't make requests or recommendations. We provide direction or authorization. So is it the intention of the mover to have Brighton staff reach out to health unit staff? Or is it the wish of the mover and seconder to have members of Brighton Council or representatives from Brighton Council reach out to representatives from the board of directors? Or is there a combo pack here that you're looking for?
What I'd like to ask you, being on the have been on council for a while, and Mary Tadman, what and Deputy Mayor, what do you think is the best step to move to get results? If we get too many people involved here, so it's the same old story.
I guess I would suggest, and I'd look to Mr. Castleman to see if he would agree, that the CAO and I maybe reach out to the chair of the board and the chief medical officer of health. We can have a meeting of the four of us and report back to council.
That sounds appropriate to me.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Okay. Councilor Bateman, you have a comment?
No, that's what I was going to suggest. I think it has to come from the CAO. I don't think you start adding extra people. Plus, you have to keep in mind that the health unit, as we all know, is extremely busy right now. So it's not going to happen overnight. They're fighting that little thing called COVID.
It shouldn't stop our process of moving on.
It's not going to stop ours, but they're focused on something else. All hands on deck at the vaccination centers and everywhere else.
So, Councillor Anderson, I'm going to change. I'm going to end that whereas line after Brighton, and then we'll have another line that reads, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and CAO be authorized to set up a meeting with the board of directors, or I should say the chair of the board, and the chief medical officer health of the HKPR to see if it's feasible to reestablish the services in Brighton and research possibilities for return to the municipality. Does that work for you? Deputy Mayor is the seconder. Does that work for you? Very well. Is there any further discussion now that we've made that quick change? Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Raleigh,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. And the next motion was read as a notice on at the April 19th meeting, and it's moved by Councillor Anderson and seconded by Deputy Mayor Vink. Whereas the municipality of Brighton okay, I'll have to get some rewording here. Whereas the municipality of Brighton and are looking for an opportunity to rid used but usable household items rather than through yard sales and needless trips to our landfill. And whereas other communities at this time are holding or considering Curbside Giveaway Day, a popular environmental green initiative, and that has become quite popular around the province. And whereas the giveaway day is meant to normalize the reuse and donation of unwanted but usable items and keep them from ending up in landfills while promoting the sharing of economy. And whereas any items that are not picked up that day will have to be brought back in. Now therefore be it resolved that the municipality of Brighton Council approve and authorize staff to determine the best date this spring for this initiative and to set out the rules for residents taking part. Councillor Anderson, it's your motion. I'll let you speak to it.
Again, it's basically what it says this spring. I would say that it would be something that the staff can discuss and we can decide on the time frame. I'd be looking more towards after COVID for sure, and or after things open up, and perhaps with the target of the fall for now. And if it had to be delayed, but at least the process of getting perhaps an annual event started. This has been done before, I believe. I recall years ago something similar in the township. Anyhow, I think Lou ran that, and other communities are doing it. I know Belleville's doing it. Quinny West is doing it. They give it a different name, and they have a few different rules, perhaps. But the main thing is to put it out in the morning, and it's off the street at night. And I think we'll need to come up with some sort of a soft rule to make sure that that happens. And it can be fun, and it can be it's a green event and something that we should be doing, and to keeps things out of the landfill. Perhaps at the end of the day, you might think different of the stuff that's left on the street, but I think it could be a fun thing that we can get into, and I think the residents would enjoy it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Again, I second this. I just think it's a good idea to offer other opportunities for people to give away used items. We do have in Brighton, or we have had before COVID, the Big Give, which is a great event as well. I don't think this would change that. The nice thing about this is no one's responsible for having to haul away a bunch of items when it's all done. The idea is people put it out. If it's not picked up, then they put it, they have to get rid of it themselves or put it back in their house. So I just think, again, we're offering opportunities in this day and age for people to upcycle rather than throw out.
Thank you for that. Anything else from other members of council? Councillor Tadman?
Today, it's I think council could make a decision tonight, and it's one day. I don't think we need to take up staff time and come back and discuss this all over again. It's an easy decision. You can, if you want it this spring, we've only got till the 21st, I think, is the first day of summer. So set a date. Let's. There's people that are already doing this. I've noticed that people put things out to the front of the road, but let's make it a little more organized than that.
Yeah, I would not want to encourage people from traveling when we're not supposed to be traveling at the moment. We are under a stay-at-home order, so we do have to be careful about those rules. I just caution everyone.
Traveling in your own community, there's no law against that.
Well, Councillor Tadman, it's a stay-at-home order. It's not a stay in Brighton order. The province wants us to stay at home. So.
Yeah, and how many of us have stayed at home once this week?
I'm not engaging in that debate, but I don't think we should be setting rules around that go outside of the current provincial emergency order. I just caution everyone there. Councillor Bateman.
Well, let's send it to staff and look at it about 6 years from now.
Councillor Bateman.
I think it's a great idea, but I think you have to wait until the stay-at-home is lifted before you can pick a date, because the stay-at-home is, you have to stay there only for essential. And I don't think a municipally sponsored thing where we encourage people to go out, even though it's very important, and I love this motion because it is a green initiative, it's not essential to go out to do that. I think it would send the wrong message. As soon as they lift the stay-at-home, then council can pick a date, or whoever picks the date, and let's go with it.
Thank you for that, Councillor LeBlanc.
Through you, Mayor, for Councillor Anderson and Deputy Mayor Laura Venk, I support this fully. And the other thing I'd like to add or ask, if this passes, I was wondering if I'm part of the Blue Dot Committee, and for green initiatives and stuff, I was wondering if I could add this to it for the town of Brighton to them and send them to us if it passes tonight, if you were willing.
I don't think you need permission for that, Doug. If this passes, this is certainly something you can take the committee and let them know what we're doing.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Anything further from members of council? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
So to that, I'm just wondering if we should add that if we want to pass it tonight, that's great, but obviously we can't implement it yet. So I don't know if we should add something in there to be implemented once lockdown has been lifted, and we can discuss it. It can be brought up at the next council meeting after that's been lifted, so we can choose a date. I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
My suggestion would be the last line of the motion reads, now therefore be it resolved, et cetera, staff to determine the best date this spring. And I would suggest scratching out spring and writing in this year. My anticipation is at some point this year, we will be, the stay-at-home order will be lifted, hopefully sooner rather than later. If we're able to, through the spread of the virus. So I think if we write this year, if for some reason, because of the emergency orders, we're not allowed to do it this year, staff will certainly be able to report back to us and let us know that. Fair enough. The other recommendation I would make is that in the first line, the first whereas statement, that we change the whereas statement to read, whereas the citizens of the municipality of Brighton are looking for an opportunity. Is that okay with the mover and seconder? Just to make it sound a little better. Okay. Anything further on this motion with those two changes made? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. Just kind of reading through it quickly again, could we make it an annual event? That would just add it, make it annual. If you could add that into the motion at some point, once we are allowed to do anything annually again. I think it'd be a great thing.
So can we write staff to determine the best date this year for an annual initiative?
That was it.
Deputy Mayor, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Councillor LeBlanc?
To you, Mayor, I was just wondering because we do have the rural part of the municipality. So if they had an event, they could have it at two locations, one at the Codrington and maybe one at the arena on the weekend. So you got a large parking space so people could do exchanges.
Yeah, I think the intention here is that you would put it out at the end of your driveway, regardless of where you live, and folks could drive around the municipality and you know, one person's trash is another person's treasure, as my grandmother would say. So you go around and pick up your new treasures. I think that's the intent.
That's Belleville's slogan. You read the paper.
Anything further from members of council? Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
You're muted, Mary.
I can read her lips, but still. You're still muted, Mary. There we go.
I don't know what else to do.
You're good
You're
now.
good. You're good now. You're
Okay.
good now. Yeah. So Councillor Mary Tadman, do
To
you,
make this an annual event, then we're going to be in competition with the Big Give that is only not being held now because of the COVID. So
Councillor Tadman, the vote's been called, so.
I would agree with it for this year, but not an annual event at this point.
So the vote is.
So I'll say no.
You're saying no.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander,
Yes,
it's carried.
thank you.
Thank you.
That takes us to our next motion, which was read as a notice on April 19th as well. And it's moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. And you see a bunch of bullet points in advance of the motion as it's written in the agenda, but the motion reads that council amend policy AD 690, audio recording of council meetings by revoking recording of closed session meetings. Councillor LeBlanc, this is your motion. Would you like to speak to it?
Yes, Mayor, Your Worship. With this motion, when we go in closed door, we audioed the meetings presently. And there's a train of thought. At the closed door meeting, I can't discuss it. The integrity commissioner had one way. Our legal people advise us one way, but the ombudsman gives us a different direction. We heard from two, and before I continue on, would it be possible to invite the ombudsman here to give us a little bit more explanation how he goes the opposite way for audioing closed door meeting? Would it be possible to do that?
Yes.
If it would be possible to do this, I would like to defer this motion if the mover, the deputy mayor would, until we heard from his viewpoint from the ombudsman. Because I want to make sure that if we're making a decision to this, we do it the right way. Because it is.
Sure, we can do that, but I think we need to clearly hear from everyone, not just invite one and then have something written from the other, because then there's no back and forth conversation about it. So we should fairly look at it if we're going to. Again, I agreed to second this because this has come up many times, whether or not we should or shouldn't be, and we get these varying opinions. So I'd like to hear from all as to whether we should record them and why or why not. I'm not saying they all need to be invited to a meeting. I'm just saying we can hear from all of them and weigh them all before we make a decision.
There, Deputy Mayor, the last meeting, this question was asked to the Integrity Commissioner, and he gave us a very explicit answer to all those things. It was asked 3 or 4 different ways, and he came up with the same answer every time. So I know what his answer is. Our legal opinion apparently kind of matches the Integrity Commissioner, but the ombudsman seems to be in their act, which is just published because of COVID, seems to be on a different wavelength than the integrity and our legal. So that's why I'd only need to listen to them. We've already heard from 2. I'd just like to listen to the 3rd, if you were in agreement with that.
Councilor Bateman.
I'm not sure who to direct this to. Perhaps you, Mayor, or somebody that sat on council previously. For those of us that haven't been on council previously, I know this was a recommendation from the ombudsman. Can someone speak to why? That helps make a valid decision, because yes, we have heard from the Integrity Commissioner, but I honestly don't know, why did this recommendation come about? I know it was, but I don't know what was behind, like, why?
My recollection is that when council received information from the ombuds office of the day, that they took seriously the recommendation that closed session meetings be recorded and passed this motion. Or passed the motion to build this policy, rather. Councillor Tadman.
Thank you, Mayor, and that's correct. That's my recollection also. And since that time, we did have a visit from the ombudsman during that time. And then we have a new Ontario ombudsman, and we all got the tips. And in this small package, it recommends also that they should be recorded. So it's not just one particular ombudsman in their office. It's a new ombudsman and probably a new staff. So I think in all fairness, we could ask the integrity commissioners that spoke to us in camera to send what their understanding is of whether we should record or not. But definitely, if we can't get the ombudsman to come here or a rep from that office, then at least have them send us why they take the stand that they should be recorded, or we make a decision. So Councillor LeBlanc asked for a deferral, and if the deputy mayor doesn't want to second that, I definitely will.
Okay, before we get there, I just want to make sure everyone's been heard on the motion, because a motion to defer is not debatable. So Madam Clerk, you had your hand up.
And I was just going to say what Mary said. I could reach out to the ombudsman's office and have them provide us in a written format, like in an email or something the same as what I got from my legal and integrity. And I can provide all three of those to council.
Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess my question is kind of a little bit, I'm a little bit confused as far as recording versus audio recording. Minutes would be, conversations would be recorded by the clerk regardless of an audio recording, right? So yeah. Are there minutes or are there comments taken? Can I just have that explanation? So one or the other, or are we doing both?
Madam Clerk.
So audio recording records all conversations.
Right.
Minutes do not record conversations. I record only the direction of council, direction or motions. But so the audio recording or live streaming like we do at this meeting records every single thing that is discussed.
Right.
That's why the integrity commissioner was against the recording.
Yes, and I guess that's where my question comes in. Not having read any of the ombudsman recommendations, are they speaking to recording as far as what you write down, or are they also speaking to audio recording? No, audio. So there's a difference, right?
Audio.
Audio.
Yeah,
okay.
audio.
Anything further on the motion? Councillor LeBlanc?
Let's say one thing through you, Mayor. I tend to agree with the integrity commissioner, because if the councillors are going to have a debate, they should be able to have a debate that's franked and be able to have it to themselves. If one councillor is one way, one's another way, if an audio gets out, they could be asking that councillor, well, you didn't fight strong enough for your opinion. I don't like that way. Even if it comes out 3-4 or whatever it comes, the council still comes out of those meetings united, 3-4, whatever it is, or 7-7. But the thing is, I tend to agree there. I just want to know why the ombudsman wants them to be recorded. And that is my point. But I also understand what our legal opinion is and the integrity commissioner. So I tend to agree with the integrity, but I want to hear from the ombudsman, because I read the act, the new regulations you just passed out, and the old one, and they seem to say the same thing, but they don't give a reason why. The only thing that they say that we don't do when you come out of closed, anything you decide has to be done in open, but there also should be a brief synopsis of what happened in closed. That should be given at every closed door meeting. So this just to confuse it. I'd just like to have those as a counselor. I want to make the right decision. Okay.
Fair enough. And I just make comment that if any of our closed session recordings ever got out, we'd have a bigger issue than whether or not we fought hard enough for an issue or not. We'd have a real concern with the leaking of information from.
It's just one of the 18 points they mentioned that I took up. Okay.
Councillor Tadman.
I don't recall at any time during this particular council going into camera and being attacked personally, but I have been, and others have been, when the meetings aren't recorded. So it's a defense for a counselor also. I was one time, because I didn't agree with something, told that I was a baby. And I got up and left the meeting. And if you recall way back, I can't even think of the minister's name at the time, but Crosby called her a baby. And I said, I'll be talking to legal. I didn't, because for one thing, I can't afford to just run to a lawyer every time somebody insults me. But there is reasons why it's best to have it recorded, because I think in lots of ways it helps us to respect the office, and also that it's there for we can still debate. But why would we want to debate any different in camera than we would in public? I stand behind what I say.
I would actually echo those comments, Councillor Tadman. I think robust debate should happen whether we're in camera or in open session. And absolutely, we stand by what we have to say, and we stand by our voted record through the council term. But Councillor LeBlanc, you wanted to hear from the Ombuds office, so I have written the following: that council defer the motion until information has been received from our solicitor, the Integrity Commissioner, and the Ombuds office. So we already have two of those pieces, but the clerk has offered to put them all together in one email or one report for council's information, and then we will be able to have that. So I'm putting you down as the mover, Councillor LeBlanc, if you're okay with that.
Yes.
And Deputy Mayor, would you be the seconder on that? Okay. So I'll read that again. That council defer the motion until information has been received from our solicitor, the Integrity Commissioner, and the Ombuds office. A motion to defer is not debatable. Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
It's carried.
Thank you. That takes us to unfinished business, and there's none noted on the agenda. So we move into bylaws. The first bylaw is with regard to the tax rate, and it reads that council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date. Being a bylaw to provide for the adoption of tax rates for 2021 and to further provide for penalty and interest in default of payment thereof. Is there a mover? By Councillor LeBlanc. Seconder, Councillor Bateman. Discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
No.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Decision of council, so yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
And it's carried.
Thank you. That takes us into our consent agenda. Would anybody like to debate either of these two items separately? The motion will read that they be received. Sorry, I should say the staff recommendation is to receive. So we will be passing a motion to accept the staff recommendation. Okay, so the motion reads, be it resolved, the staff recommendations with respect to consent agenda 14.1 and 14.2 be adopted as printed. Is there a mover? Councillor Rowley, seconder. Deputy Mayor Vink. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
yes,
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink.
You're muted.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Brian Ostrander,
Yes,
carried.
thank you. We have no reports of advisory committees of council, reports, minutes, and council reports, which takes us to reports and minutes of statutory committees, boards, and external agencies. The motion before me reads that council received the Brighton Police Services Board November 27th, 2020 meeting minutes as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Rowley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Vink. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
yes,
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes,
It's carried.
thank you. Next on our agenda is correspondence, direction items, endorsements, communications, and petitions. First piece of correspondence comes from Sherry Hamilton on behalf of the Brian Todd Memorial Community Fund. And the motion reads, and I'll need to know with the mover receives or supports. The motion reads that council receive or support the request from Sherry Hamilton on behalf of the Brian Todd Memorial Community Fund for the installation of the banners for downtown Brighton bearing local student artwork on poles in the downtown core. Councillor Anderson?
I'll support that.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Bateman? Any discussion? Deputy Mayor Vink.
Thanks. First, I just want to note that I used to be part of this board. I am no longer. It's just too hard to, when things come to council and make decisions. And so anyway, I just wanted to say I do support this as a member of council.
Super. It's actually an incredible initiative. I'm incredibly supportive of this. I think it's just great to see the artwork displayed in downtown Brighton, and I look forward to seeing it again this year. Any further comments or questions? Madam Clerk, will you please call the vote?
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
yes,
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
This is carried.
Thank you. Next piece of correspondence comes from Glenn Irving, representing the Royal Canadian Legion of Brighton, and the motion reads that council receive or support, so the mover will need to know which one. Glenn Irving, First Vice President, Royal Canadian Legion of Brighton, requests for council to reassess the increase of lottery licensing fee structure. The mover? Councillor Rowley? Are we receiving or supporting? You're on mute, Emily.
I'm sorry, supporting.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Tadman?
Yes.
So I just want to be clear for the purposes of staff that the last line reads, I am asking town council. So if Glenn, if you're listening, that you'll have to put money in the swear jar because it's municipal council to reassess the decision to increase the lottery license fee. So If we accept this, it would be my anticipation that staff would bring a report back. Is that a fair assumption? Mr. Castleman?
That's correct.
Thank you. Council support, the support Glenn Irving, First Vice President, Royal Canadian Legion, Brighton, request for council to reassess the increase of lottery license fee structure. Councilor LeBlanc.
I would like to put a motion on the floor. That basically,
There's already a motion on the floor, Doug. Unless your motion is a procedural motion, I can't accept another motion while there's a motion on the floor.
well, maybe you can give me advice on this, Mayor.
You go ahead and ask.
I would like to put a motion or procedural motion on the floor to rescind the 3% on these lottery things and go back to the $10 fee on the tickets.
Okay, so what will happen next if we pass the motion that's on the floor now, which is to support Mr. Irving's request? We'll receive a staff report back. At that point, we can have debate on the fee structure and offer direction to staff.
So the thing is, when would the staff report come back? Not in the fourth quarter, I hope.
I don't know. Mr. Castleman, what would the intention be? Well, I guess it's the clerk's office that would do this, so I'll ask the clerk, what would your availability to get a report back to council be?
I can bring a report back on May 17th.
May 17th, Doug, 2 weeks. Is that close? Is that good enough?
I can wait for that. Thank you very much, Mayor, for your advice.
You're welcome. Councillor Tadman, you have a question or comment?
Well, a comment in the fact that if we didn't, it puts us in a hard place because we want to support Glenn Irving from the Legion, but so therefore we can't put the motion forward because we have to vote on this and then it goes back to staff, because I would like to be able to make the decision tonight. So I don't like putting things off, as you know. But anyways, if it's going to come back that soon, then we can have a lively debate at that time. And I think we can reassure, at least I can reassure, I can really speak for myself that I fully support volunteers. They're the backbone of this municipality. Without them, there would be so much over the past years that I've sat on council, but as a volunteer for many years in lots of different capacities. When you stop and think of how much volunteering goes on in this town, we need to do everything to support these groups, all of these groups. And so I feel like we're penalizing them by charging the 3%. So I just wanted to get my feelings out now, and I hope that council will support me in this. If we have to charge 10, I would say 0. They give so much back to this community that we brag about in our mission statement, everything that we're here to serve the public. They're here serving us all the time, and we should do everything that we can possibly do to help those organizations. Sorry, I'm long-winded, but I'm passionate about volunteers.
You always have been, Councillor Tadman, and with thanks. Councillor Anderson.
We're not going to discuss this tonight then.
The only thing we would discuss is the correspondence, Councillor.
Okay, because I understand the clerk wanted to say something at tonight. I read something, but that'll be left for when the report comes back. Okay, that's fine. And
she can say whatever she wants in her report on the.
Well, I want to hear what she has to say.
You'll hear what she has to say on May 17th.
Because we made a decision to go to 3% for some reason.
Right.
So we need
to. I think that will be all made clear, and we'll get to make a decision on May 17th.
That's you know.
Deputy Mayor.
I was just going to say that we can choose to change the motion if we really want to tonight. We're, saying that we can't discuss it until the 17th. If we really want to make a motion to change, we certainly could. I don't think anyone here is against volunteers, and I think we all want to see us help the any organization raising funds. And I think the reason for the change was simply because we were trying to cover costs. And so maybe, but maybe we didn't really, you know, we didn't do the math that's been presented in front of us. And I get why they're concerned. So I'm certainly willing to make an adjustment just to make sure that we cover costs and they're still able to fundraise. I don't know if council wants to wait for a report, we can wait for a report to do that in a few weeks. I'm fine with that, or we could choose to adjust the motion to say that we receive it and suggest this. Can we not do that or no?
Without knowing what covering our costs would look like, I think it would be hard for us to make that motion, but I know staff's listening, so they'll be able to include that kind of a concept in their report. And I think it's only fair that we get the actual numbers in front of us to make a good decision for the community. Councillor Bateman, you had your hand up.
Be comfortable if we made a decision tonight, but I think the clerk said the 17th. I couldn't hear the date that you said.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable with that because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of fundraising between now and then. And I 100% support what this letter that came to council and other calls that I've received, because it's not just about the volunteerism, it's what their fundraising goes towards. We have so many structures and different things in this community that may or may not be here if it wasn't for them. And every dollar that we take from a service group, it's a dollar that we're potentially going to have to take from the taxpayer if we want that same thing, from the stage and Memorial Park, the electronic sign out in front of the arena, that may or may not have happened without them. So we have to keep that in mind when we make these decisions. It's not just about, because they give 100% of their money back. And there's so many things in this community that we wouldn't have if it wasn't for those service groups.
Agreed. Thank you. Councillor LeBlanc.
Yes, through you, Mayor. Just a comment. I tend to agree with the deputy mayor. I'd like to deal with it tonight, but I can work, but I'd like to deal with it tonight. Where it passed for Councillor Anderson, it's right underneath marriage license on a 22-page report, just about a 22-item report that was given to us during the budget meeting. So it was kind of looked at, but it's something that came from the lottery just a couple of years ago that we're allowed to put 3% in 2020 and was adopted here and put in. And it was something that was probably not looked at the effects of it all. And it affects where they donate their money, not only all the different clubs, it also affects the reserve and the fundraising, the scout, the guides, minor hockey. It affects them all. So that's where I'm at. And they're all volunteers. And we all help, and we're all here as councillors to support them. And we are a fair council. It wasn't done in malice in any way. Thank you. It can be practiced.
And those were essentially my comments to representative of one of the organizations today. When I said, I don't think we fully understood the ramifications of what this would mean, or had any idea how it might affect your charity or your ability to raise money for the community. So it's appropriate for us to take another look at this, and we look forward to seeing that come forward in a couple of weeks. Councillor Tadman, you had your hand up.
Well, it looks, without even calling the vote, it looks like the majority of council are comfortable to wait till May. I would like to get it done tonight, but
I'm with you.
then the motion that's on the, you've got a motion on the floor now, Mayor, right?
I do.
And that's to
I'll read it again if you'd like.
Support this.
Yes.
Support Mr.
It's to support the correspondence. Yes.
Yeah. So it puts us in a kind of a funny spot, because if we say we're going to receive it, then we can go ahead and bring another motion forward. But if we're supporting this, then we have to wait. Is that not correct? How do we change the wording otherwise?
Well, actually, if we receive it, we wouldn't bring another motion forward. We would just be receiving the correspondence and taking no action on it. But if we support it, we're directing staff to bring forward, essentially through the support, we're directing staff to bring forward a motion, provide us with all the information we need to make a good decision for the community, because this will affect the taxpayer at the end of the day. If we lower the fee, it will mean we're subsidizing, we could very well be subsidizing the value of this onto the back of the taxpayer. So it's always a balancing act. And we just need all the information before we make that decision. because the fees have increased from the province. Anything
We
further?
subsidize a great deal of stuff there. And they're giving it back
I get it.
100%.
I understand. I'm not arguing that we shouldn't go down this road. I'm just saying that from my seat, I want all of the information so that I can make a good decision. And I think if we just reverse back to the old decision, we don't know what the implication is to the budget. We don't know what the implication is to the taxpayer. So let's wait till we have all that information. It's only 2 weeks. As Councillor Bateman said, there's probably not a lot of fundraising going to go on in the next couple of weeks through lottery anyway. So I don't think we're really hurting anybody by receiving a report on May 17th and making a good decision for the community.
Okay, call the vote then.
I'll give Councillor LeBlanc one more word before I do.
When we look at these things and you say about the budget, our reserves for 2020 went up by $2 million. And we also put out money in grant and lieu to help out other people. So, and these organizations do a lot of help and a lot of good, like food banks, everything, Beacon Church, the Beacon, and the food banks and Meals on Wheels. So you don't really want to take income from them because we donate to the same, we take it from them and donate it to the same causes. So, and this is the community getting involved with volunteers. And I would be willing to save staff time and have a motion on it tonight and a vote on it tonight.
There's a motion on the floor to support the correspondence. Members of council, please unmute yourselves. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
It's carried.
And just so everyone knows, the first vice president did send me a quick message noting thank you to everyone from the municipality of Brighton. So he doesn't have to now contribute to the swear jar. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you, Glenn, for that. So we move on to question period. Madam Clerk, are you aware of anyone joining us to ask a question with regard to tonight's agenda?
I'm not aware of anyone.
Thank you. Mr. Rinaldi, you'll be presenting in closed session, and Mr. Castleman, you have a report in closed session. So gentlemen, how much time, I'm just looking at our time and I'm wondering if we should pass a motion to carry on the meeting if we go past 9:30. How much time do each of you need? Mr. Rinaldi?
5 minutes to very most, if that. It all depends on how many questions council has.
Well, I'll hold you to your 5 minutes. I can't do that for the rest of council. Mr. Castleman?
I would say between 5 and 10 minutes.
All right, so if we have to, we'll pass a procedural motion in camera, but for now, we're just going to move forward with the motion that reads, the council resolve itself into closed session May 3rd at 9:03 p.m. pursuant to the Ontario Municipal Act 2001 as amended, subsection 239, to B, personal matters about identifiable individual, including municipal employees or local board employees, specifically the compensation review, and K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, specifically OPP detachment board composition proposal. Is there a mover? Moved by Deputy Mayor Vink, seconded by Councillor Bateman. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Councillor Ron Anderson,
Yes.
Councillor Mark Bateman,
Yes.
Councillor Doug LeBlanc,
Yes.
Councillor Emily Rowley,
Yes.
Councillor Mary Tadman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Laura Vink,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Thank you. And before we end this Zoom meeting, Mr. Rinaldi, you know there's another Zoom link for the camera session.
I have, yes, I have.
Ms. Love, you've joined us as well. You're aware that there's another Zoom link for the in-camera session?
I am now, sir.
Perfect. Okay. For the benefit of members of the public, this will end the live YouTube stream for the duration of